Three, two, one, and we are live for a new episode of the Electric Podcast. I am Fred, your host, and I'm joined by Seth Wintrow. How you doing today, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, let's get ready for a new episode that is sponsored by Electrify America, the largest public fast charging network in the US. We're going to have a little bit more to say about them later on the show. But get ready because we have a ton of news this week, a ton of Tesla news, especially. It kept coming every day, a lot of new information. And the biggest piece of information, in my own opinion, is the opening of the Supercharger network, or at least a pilot program opening of the network, specifically in the Netherlands. For some reason, that's where Tesla decided to open it first. They made it clear it's a pilot program. It's only affecting 10 Supercharger locations right now in the Netherlands, and they are using the program to test the traffic, test the user experience for non-Tesla user and for Tesla user too, because onboarding new customers on the network affects existing customer also. So it's pretty much how we discussed it before. It's you download the Tesla app and you create a Tesla account, but you can now choose the option of charge your non-Tesla in the app when you create your account. And from there, all you have to do is add a payment option, of course. So because this is not free, and then when you show up to the station, you look at the on the charging stall. There's always a number and a letter for 4A, 3B, whatever it is, and you enter that in the app to make sure that you're connected to the right charger. You plug in, and you can initiate the charging directly from the app. So it's not as smooth of an experience as if you were charging your Tesla at the Tesla charging station, but it's pretty close to it. It's 80%, 90% there, let's say. Now, again, Tesla says that there's a few other things that are different here. The biggest advantage, of course, of doing it in the Netherlands is that they already have the CCS connector there directly on the stall, so you don't have to use any adapter. Whenever this opening of the network is coming to North America, you're going to have an adapter. And unless Tesla start putting a CCS standard on the supercharger themselves, which is not impossible. That's what they did in Europe. And okay, so in terms of pricing, Tesla says that the pricing for non-Tesla driver reflects additional cost incurred to support charging a broad range of vehicle and adjustment to our site to accommodate these vehicles. Rate varied by site, and you can view charging prices in the Tesla app at the per kilowatt hour basis. So that's something we did expect. Tesla charging a little bit more for non-Tesla vehicles to account for basically what we just explained, all the development that they had to do to support that. And Tesla Supercharger is already pretty competitive in terms of charging for fast charging stations. So I would expect something not too expensive on that front, but it's something to keep an eye on. It's always less expensive than gas, especially these days. Yeah, so Tesla also noted that you can keep using those stations, no problem. They do know that the cable length can be a problem for some cars. I don't know which one could be, but I know like it depends where you plug your where the charge port is connected on your car. Tesla is always the same. It's on the driver's side at the very, very end near the tail lights. So if you're a little bit further towards the doors, or even something like I know a few like the Nissan Leaf, the what else? The Kona. They do at the center in the front end of the car or center left. These could be a little bit more of an issue when you park, because the supercharger cables are fairly short, really. Like they don't give
Yeah,
you a lot of.
I was thinking actually the Porsche Taycan, like getting a cable all the way to
Oh
like
yeah.
where the door is. You might even need like an extender cable or something. Not
Mm-hmm.
that something like that exists currently, but there are like a lot of EVs that are going to be weird. And then we saw some pictures of EVs that have like on the opposite side. So if it's parked there, not only obviously you can't use the spot where the Ford Mustang is,
Mm-hmm.
but you also can't use the spot next to it because the Ford Mustang's in the opposite spot that a Tesla uses.
Yeah.
So there's some problems that are going to come up, and obviously Tesla drivers, especially in crowded
Mhm.
areas where they have to wait, are going to be particularly sensitive to this. Like they're already like Tesla build more chargers, not let more people on the
Mhm.
chargers. So
Yeah, Tesla notes that you shouldn't use the stall if you are gonna block another stall. So for those cars, yeah, you're right. The Taycan doesn't make any sense because the Taycan is like on the front fender next to the driver's door.
right.
There's no way you can reach that if you're parked normally. You have to park like perpendicular to the
Well, they have
to the
those
stall.
side, the ones that Tesla uses to pull in front ways. You could
Yeah,
you could pull in backwards, like if you have a trailer. Tesla
yeah,
sometimes has one charger that's like weirdly set up.
but that's
But
not everywhere. Like, it's not. I don't
yeah,
know the frequency of those in Europe, but here in Canada, at least, I don't see a lot of those.
right. But I mean, on that one,
Mm.
theoretically, it could work. And as there are more Teslas that tow things like a Cybertruck, maybe more of those kind of stations will be built that other EVs can use.
Oh yeah, for sure. Tesla's gonna use that pilot program to adapt. I think the rest of the network to that, and the first thing they should do is obviously it's make the cables longer, but that will change the design of the stall because the
Yeah.
stall is designed around the cable just being long enough to fit in the hole of the pedestal. So it would be interesting to see how Tesla find a
Yeah, and in the
solution to that.
U.S., unless they're going to build the CCS combo, you know, separate cables, they're going to have a Tesla charger to CCS adapter, which I think we had heard some like rumors or maybe back channel stuff about, like Tesla would sell the actual thing to people. Um, it's like $13 a month for a subscription to Tesla service or Tesla charging. Did we hear that or something from the on
Mm,
the third party
oh,
chargers?
no, I don't remember that.
Anyway, what Tesla could do in the US is sell this adapter uh, to people if they're not going to put the two cable thing, but they might put the
Yeah. Well,
cable.
they already said that they would sell the adapter. Like when they launched it last month in Korea, they said that it's coming to North America too, and that will give you some length more. Not a lot though, but it's just a tiny bit more.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah. All right. We have a bunch of update to the Model 3, the Model Y. Ranges have been updated for the 2022 model year. I know people always take offense when we talk about a new model year for Tesla. They're like, "Hey, Tesla doesn't do model years. They just do updates whenever it's ready and they implement them." Yes, that's correct, but they also do model years like any other automaker. They have to do it. It's just that they used to do it, um, unlike any others, because they would always do the upgrades whenever they're ready and implement them in the middle of the year if they can. Then they would just do the updated model year when the true new year would happen or around that. But in the last few years, they've changed that and they're doing it more like regular automakers do, which is October, November. That's when they do the change. And that's what they did again this year. And now sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It coincides with an update on some aspects of the car. Uh, this time it affected the powertrains, the battery capacity, or at least the range, and the acceleration. So the Model 3 got a little bit slower, actually a lot slower. Went 5.3 to 5.8. That's significantly slower. Half a second doesn't sound that much, but it's significant.
Yeah.
But it did increase in range from 262 to 272. But now Tesla, for all models, they are being clearer in terms of how the wheels affect the range. So they used to do that with some models and not all of them. But now if you choose the wheel, it changes everything. It changes the range every time, not just for those few models. So for the standard range, well, actually I've seen standard range, but apparently Tesla is not calling it standard range anymore. It's just calling it rear-wheel drive. So the Model 3 rear-wheel drive, because there's just one option in rear-wheel drive, and the smaller battery pack option happens to only be available in rear-wheel drive too. It's 272, so 10 more miles on the 18-inch wheels. If you upgrade to the 19-inch wheels, it's 267 miles. so not much. You lose about 5 miles. At least that's what they say. In my experience, it's a little bit more. But the thing too that Tesla's been doing lately, and that's pre this update, that's been the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think. Tesla, if you when you choose a model of the Model 3, a trim of the Model 3, I should say, already push you on the 19-inch wheels. So something to keep in mind. Like Tesla is trying to make it as a default. Uh, of course, they are more expensive, less efficient, looks cooler, depending on the person, but I think so too. So yeah, a little bit of a range increase here. The Model 3 long range dual motor went from 353 to 358 on the 19-inch wheels. 18, sorry. So a 5 miles update on the base wheel. With the 19-inch wheels, you get 334, and that's one of those that Tesla actually didn't release the 19-inch wheel range before, so we don't know what's the difference. But you can see here a much bigger difference, though. We're talking about the 24 miles of range by upgrading the wheels for the long range version. Similar update for the Model Y. Of course, we don't have the smaller battery pack on the Model Y, so the Model Y long range gets a bump from 326 to 330. And if you for the Model Y, it's 19 and 20-inch the option. If you do go with the 20 inches, it falls to 318. I also think Tesla didn't release an previous efficiencies on that one. So we don't know exactly what kind of changes led to those new numbers, but the bigger difference with the Model 3 Standard Range Plus might coincide with what we learned recently that Tesla is moving, because these are US numbers, of course. So US numbers for the Model 3 that they're coming from the Fremont factory, and Tesla has confirmed that they are for the standard range, though even though they're not calling them standard range anymore, they are shifting to the LFP battery cells. So the new LFP pack, which we know that Tesla in China, at least, they're producing two different sizes of LFP pack, one bigger than the other for the Model Y. I wouldn't be surprised if the Model 3 standard range plus or let's make the switch in my brain right now. Model 3 rear wheel drive. Okay, so for the Model 3 rear wheel drive, the new one being produced now, Tesla might have likely used the same bigger pack that they use for the standard range Model Y in China, which is like a 60, I think, kilowatt hour pack. So that might explain the bigger range here. On even though they went with technically lower energy density pack or chemistry. So that does it for the update. And then a few days later, after updating those ranges with the new model year, Tesla updated the prices, something that we are very accustomed to these days. But along with the prices, which changes or increases, because that's pretty much the only way they're going these days, Tesla actually changed the paint options. And you're getting a little bit more out of the rear-wheel drive version of the Model 3 now. So Model 3 standard, Model 3 rear-wheel drive went for $44,000 to $45,000, a $1,000 increase, and the $1,000 increase has been applied throughout the entire lineup. So your long-range all-wheel drive is now $51,000, and even the performance version, which Tesla basically left untouched for most of the year because it's already much more expensive, is now $59,000. So it also got a $1,000 increase. But of course, the more important one here is the rear-wheel drive version. It's always been the cheapest Model S, and it's the one that's been the most affected by price increases this year. If you remember, early in the year, in February, Tesla was selling that car for just $37,000. It now sells for $45,000. It's quite the increase, a 21% increase in price over the year. But with this latest price increase, at least customers are getting a little bit more out of it. So the Tesla used to have for the Model 3 this like premium and like halfway premium interior, they would call it basically, and you didn't get the heated steering wheel and the heated rear seat, sorry, and now you do. Sources familiar with the matter confirmed it this week that the new 2022 model year comes with those.
Not sure it's worth the $8,000.
No, so well, technically it's the $1,000 because like if you order the car for 44, last month, you don't get that,
Right.
or I mean, you could upgrade your order, I guess, because you won't get that car anytime soon anyway. It's back ordered for a while, but for Tesla, it's basically nothing because, as you remember, they already produced those cars with that hardware, and they would offer it as a aftermarket over the year upgrade. So they just won't offer that anymore. It's already in the car. They decided they probably, my guess is they didn't see a big take rate on the over the air update on that. So they just decided, all right, let's just increase the price that we're gonna increase anyway, and just slide in a little bonus like that for people. Model Y was also affected by those price increases. Again, $1,000 across the board. So the dual motor long range is now $58,000 and 63 for the performance version. Now, for both Model 3 and Model Y, there were some changes to the paint options. So Tesla doesn't often changes paint options, but this time the standard color is still white. Everything else, as you remember, used to be extra. You have to pay extra to change the color of the car, other than white. It used to be black. They changed it to white. Now what they did is that they added midnight silver metallic, which is this color right here, as a new standard one. So you can have it for no extra cost, either white or silver metallic. So that's a nice little upgrade here. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of those on the
Yep.
road next year. And but the black color got a price increase, $500 more. Now it's $1,500 to get your Model 3 or Model Y black. Used to be free.
How's your paint holding up on your Model 3?
Model 3 is doing pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's not like I treated very good.
Yeah, my paint on my Model 3 is just not great. Like I
Yeah.
got a
Well,
lot.
yours is a year older than mine. It's not that
Yeah,
much older. Yeah. What's your mileage on it too, though?
not much. It's like 25,000.
25,000.
Not even, probably 20,000.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I could tell you.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Trying to figure it out. Mine is at 25,000 kilometers.
I had to really check my safety score. I'm at 91. Not
Uh,
happy about that.
no, you haven't moved. Well, yeah, my Model 3 is at 25,000 kilometers. My Model S is at just trust 130,000 kilometers. And my Model X, that's the fun one, is at 4,500 miles.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm
No,
at 25,060.
405,000 miles. Yeah. How much?
25,060 miles.
Yeah, so that's 1.6 more than, because mine is on kilometers. So
Hmm.
yeah, significantly more, and a year more. The time also affects it. You don't, no, you do garage it. You do put it in the garage.
No,
No, you leave it outside.
we got a lot of e-bikes.
They take off all your garage now.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. A new solar roof tile from Tesla. This is a relatively big news here this week that didn't really pick up. Some nice folks sent us the data sheet because Tesla started installing those tiles right now on new project, and quoting new project using those tiles because they make a big difference. It's the new SR72T1 solar tile from Tesla, and the big difference is the power output. The power output went from 58.5 watt per tile to 71.67 watts per. So it's a 22% increase in power output because this is the same size. So this is purely an efficiency, a power efficiency increase. The tile remains 430 millimeters by 1,040 millimeters, which is about a meter long. And
That's a
half a
pretty
meter.
big, significant increase.
Yes, it is. So not sure how Tesla achieved that, but they did, and it's going to be a big deal because they're going to be able to, on the same roof, fit a lot more power without having to add any more solar tiles. Because as you know, the Tesla solar roof has tiles that they look the same, but some of them have solar cells in them, and some other are just glass. So and they look the same from the ground angle. But if you look from the top, you can see the solar cell just like the sun can see them, so that they can collect the power from the sunlight. But there's different efficiency at which you can take that power. And of course, we know solar panels these days are considered more efficient than solar shingles like that. And the best panels these days, I mean, the best commercially available panels that are good, it's like what, 23
Yeah,
percent efficiency.
22, 23.
Yeah. So Tesla is basically like getting close to that with this product, which also has an efficiency advantage of its own, which by being smaller than an average solar panel and fit directly on your roof, you can you can place them in all the positions that are most efficient in catching the sun. So even if you have like little smaller part of your roof, if your roof is more complex than just a normal roof, you can still fit in a few solar cells in there that can get you some power. One other interesting thing that I found too in the updated data sheet with the new version of the solar cell is that Tesla says that they can now install those cells directly on existing roof, which doesn't sound like a great idea to be honest. But they said that on 3-tab composition shingles, single layer, and architectural composition shingles, single layer, they can install right on top of it.
Really?
Uh, like this would save a lot of time for installation, a lot of money removing the roof in the first place. So it
So you
sounds like a
just put
good
it right
idea.
on top of your old roof?
I would assume that they are like this also has a membrane that you have to put on and everything, but they basically make it sound like that.
That would be a big deal. I'm surprised nobody picked up.
Yeah, I mean it would be, but like I talked to a few people who are familiar with roofing, and they all say don't do that. Like they all say that you see here, you can see the layered system
Hmm.
that Tesla has. They say you want to have a new base roof on it. You want to make a new base roof. Like you don't you people would do that, but like old shingles, they will put new like composite shingles on top of it. But we're talking about a more sophisticated product here, and even if you would ask Tesla installers, I would assume like ask them, would you prefer installing it on an existing shingle roof or a brand new roof? And they're like, let's do a brand new. But yeah, if you're getting quoted a new Tesla solar roof right now, it should be with those new cells. So keep a lookout for it. All right, this was an interesting one this week too. Like I said, a ton of Tesla news this week. It kept coming in. Tesla launched a new version of their wall connector, which is their home charging station, level 2 home charging station. But they launched it with a J1772 connector, which, if you're not familiar with, is the standard connector for basically all electric cars in North America, except Tesla vehicles, because Tesla has been using its own proprietary connector there. So this thing is basically a wall connector from Tesla made for charging non-Tesla vehicles.
Yeah.
You
So
could technically charge a Tesla with it, but you
with
would
an
need to
adapter.
have the adapter, which Tesla used to provide with every car. Now you have to buy it separately, but it's not too expensive. It's
By the
like
way, I think it came down in price. It used to be like 95 or no, it came
yeah,
like 50 or something.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
see.
It's less expensive now.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be standard with every car.
I mean, if you have two cars, two electric cars, like you would maybe
Yeah,
want, and one of them was a Tesla,
yeah.
maybe it would make sense to have this,
But
by
even
itself.
then, it don't offer that much of an advantage over other chargers, though they are pretty cheap.
Yeah.
For the price is
$400.
yeah,
That is, I mean, that's like charge point and
yeah,
juice
415,
box. Is it 450?
415.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
bad. Juice
but it's the
box
Gen
and
2 though. It's a Gen 2 of the wall
right,
connector.
so it doesn't have the Wi-Fi.
It doesn't have the Wi-Fi. So the Gen 3 is the one with the Wi-Fi. It doesn't have the exact same design as the Gen 3 too. It's a little bit different, but not that different.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a lot smaller and I think nicer looking than uh, maybe the juice box from Enel or the charge point or even the new Electrify America one coming. And then there's a few other out there that I think are around the same. Like, what's the company you mentioned previously that sells inexpensive ones?
Grizzly is most often the less expensive one. Of course, they all fluctuate in prices, but Grizzly has consistently been less expensive, and I know that they reduced their price to $400 this week. Uh,
What a coincidence.
Yeah, could be a coincidence, or they could be Tesla's putting some pressure on us, and we've been the cheapest so far. So let's try to keep that happening. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people go for the Wi-Fi connected one, but a lot of the cars already have all the capability that you would need in a Wi-Fi connected wall charger, and that you can do from the car. Um, so it's not as useful, but still, I was a bit shocked that Tesla would do that. It's interesting that they do it at the same time that they open the supercharger network, or at least the pilot program for it. One thing that I thought of that could make sense is Tesla has been expanding a lot its destination charging program, and they use their own level 2 station for that, so their own wall connectors for Tesla vehicles, of course. But as part of the program, they would also install J1772 charger from other companies, Clipper Creeks, Charge Points, whatever. They would buy those chargers and install them at those destination charger to be like a full electric vehicle charging station, not just for Tesla but others. So that was a nice thing that they did just as part of the mission. So now they could do it with their own chargers and stuff. That's what I think.
Also, the Roadster needs a J1772. So
Yeah,
maybe
big market for that.
right. All like 172 of them that didn't burn down.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think you would launch a new product for that at this point.
No, but it's got to feel better to put Tesla stuff in rather than a third party.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking in terms of the destination charging. All right. There's let's do a quick update on the Hertz deal. So last week, of course, we talked about that a lot. That's what sent the Tesla stock to brand new highs. This week again, I think it again went to brand new highs. What did it close today? I think today was a little bit trading sideways, but yeah, it closed down at a mere $1,222 per share, and a valuation of $1.21 trillion. So not a great week for Tesla, really.
Bummer.
but a lot of people associated this big surge to the Hertz deal last week, and Elon kind of put a stop to the rally on November 2nd when he said that he said that the Hertz deal is not signed. So that like confused a lot of people, because in the original release of Hertz, the announcement that they are buying 100,000 Tesla, they made it clear that they have placed an order for 100,000 Tesla. However, Elon was quick to say after that we didn't give them any discounts or anything like that. They are paying like every other customers. So it makes it sound like they just went through the usual order process like any customer would, and placed. I mean, I mean, there's no option for quantities when you place an order for Tesla. So I don't know if they had a bunch of interns just placing orders one by one with $100 non-refundable deposit. I don't know how it works really, but their language was clear that they placed an order for 100,000 Tesla. But then Elon says nothing is signed. Of course, you don't sign anything when you order a Tesla. All you do is give that $100 non-refundable deposit. So they might lose that. So on 100,000 cars, that's
10
1
million.
million, $10 million that they could lose. But they of course they won't. They are already taking deliveries. They say they're already taking deliveries of some of those cars, which makes sense. Every time Tesla has any car on inventory, they can unload them pretty quick to Hertz. Yeah, I think for Tesla it's going to be useful of a deal just for like those end of quarter push. You're like, if they have any worries about a customer that cannot take order by the end of the quarter, they're like, Hertz going to take it.
Yep.
But yes, that kind of put a stop to the rally there, and brought some confusion. And then the next day we had, oh yeah, and he also said that, because yeah, that was a weird tweet, as if.
You're welcome.
As if that's unusual from Elon. But the Tesla Silicon Valley Club, which is a big Twitter account that like Tesla super fans on Twitter, tweeted "Super Tesla stonks. Thank you, Elon Musk," and a picture of the graphic of Tesla being up 8% that day. But then Elon responded, "You're welcome." So as in taking credit for that. But right after saying that, he do a nice 180 And he's like, if any of this is based, I'm quoting here, if any of this is based on Hertz, I'd like to emphasize that no contract has been signed yet. Tesla has far more demand than production. Therefore, we only sell cars to Hertz for the same margin as to consumers. That's something that he already said. Hertz deal has zero effect on our economics. I actually disagree with Elon, and I think we said that last week. I think that because what he's saying is that the actual order of 100,000 vehicles has no effect on the economics, and yes, technically he is right. Tesla would have sold those 100,000 cars anyway. So all it does, it's like extend the delivery timelines a little bit for some customers as they um, place new orders. But in I think that there's economic benefits beyond just the order itself. We discussed that last week. You're going to put a lot more butts in Tesla seats through the rental program that Hertz has, through the advertising that Hertz has around it, through the deal that they have with Uber. We're going to put a lot more people that are going to get rides in Tesla because of it. So those are all not really tangible benefits, but they are clear benefits either way. I've seen a bunch of people already posting like Hertz already has a big advertising campaign, not just the one with Tom Brady that we discussed last week, but like they at airports they have signs that says you want to get in the Tesla but they're too expensive, you can rent right now and flex to your friends with it. So like that's great advertising for Tesla. Like and it's literally a test drive that people are paying for. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of value to that deal beyond, I think, just 100,000 cars on order. Woo! I don't know what happened here. So yeah, and then after that, a day later, the Wall Street Journal came out with its own report based on apparent inside sources at Tesla and Hertz, saying that there are currently some disagreement between the two companies regarding the order, and it is so following Elon's comment about that. But they said they released a new statement saying, as we announced last week, Hertz has made an initial order for 100,000 Tesla electric vehicles. So basically, going against Musk, saying that the order is placed and is investing in new EV um, infrastructures across the company's global operations. Oh, you know what? Could this have something to do with the Tesla J1772 charger? Like, if Hertz wants to invest in a charging infrastructure at their locations, and they are using Tesla vehicles, but they want to be future proof if they
Yeah.
use non Tesla vehicles in the future or as part of their fleet. They want the J72 charger. Maybe something like that could make sense. Then they said that vehicles, Tesla already have deliveries of the Teslas already have started. So they're already getting some. So we already reported on that last week. But it sounds like the disagreement is regarding the timeline. Wall Street Journal said that some people at Tesla were surprised that Hertz announced that they expect all 100,000 vehicles to be delivered by the end of next year. But honestly, like the more I'm learning about this deal, the more it sounds like Hertz literally just went on the Tesla's website and placed 100,000 orders for Tesla vehicles. And if they were to do that, every time they place an order, the timeline would have been late 2022. So they would technically get all the cars by late 2022. So that's what it sounds like to me.
It's crazy.
It is wild.
Too bad the affiliate program's not still happening. They could get a couple of roadsters out of it.
Oh yeah, or well, I mean, if the Roadster was at least a few hundreds of millions of miles of free supercharging miles. Yeah, that's quite the story that turns out with Hertz here, and
It's
well,
still
okay,
weird. And
it's
Mark
still
Fields, is the CEO of
yeah.
currently of Hertz, had like in the past had said some not so great things about Tesla. I mean, he was the Ford CEO. He had to have
Mm-hmm.
say some bad things, I guess. But even after that, even when he was like a commentator for, he's kind of like, Tesla's not important or
Yeah, he
something.
was a CNBC guy for a while after that, right? And
Right.
he was like, yeah. Now he's the interim CEO of Art. I don't know if he's aiming to get the job full time, but He sure would help this if he was behind this move. It sure will help because the Hertz stock has got a little boost to like Tesla from that deal. All right, a quick word from our sponsor, Electrify America.
Yes, this episode of the Electrek podcast is brought to you by Electrify America. Electrify America now operates the largest coast to coast ultra fast charging network with more than 650 charging stations, and it's growing. It currently has plans underway for about 800 total charging stations with more than 3,500 chargers to be completed by December of this year. And it plans to have more than 1,800 ultra fast charging stations and 10,000 individual chargers installed by the end of 2025. That includes 50 kilowatts to 350 kilowatt chargers near highways and 50 to 150 kilowatt chargers in metropolitan areas. The newly launched Electrify America mobile apps now offer contactless payment along with CarPlay and Android Auto integration, and you can save up to 25% on charging with the new Pass Plus subscription plans. If you're an EV driver and want to learn more about Electrify America and its growing network of charging stations, find out what they're up to at electrifyamerica.com. That's electrifyamerica.com, or hit up the link in the show notes. Thanks again to Electrify America for sponsoring this week's show.
Yes, thanks, EA. We have a few new other pieces of Tesla news and then a few pieces of VW news to get to. And then we're going to jump into the comment section. So if you guys have any question or any subjects you want us to discuss, please put them in all caps right now in the comment section and we're going to get to them in maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes tops. All right. So a new software update came to Tesla vehicle this week. A bunch of little features that were added. We're gonna get through them pretty fast. The big one, or the bigger one, is Tidal. The Tidal app has been added to the music streaming option that you have on your car. So we already have Spotify. We have Tesla's kind of in-house powered, like, well, it's not. They use another service to do it, but the separate streaming service.
Tune in
that they use, yeah. And now you have the option to have Tidal. So for the 3 or 4 of you that have Tidal
Dozens
right
of
now,
us. There's dozens of us.
that use Tidal, you must be very happy. You had an interesting suspicion around why this was added because it was recently purchased by Square, which is owned by
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey. So you think maybe Jack asked Elon to add it to the car?
Absolutely. Of course he did. Like that would
Yeah.
be a good business decision.
Well, yeah, it definitely Tidal. I think needs Tesla more than Tesla needs
Right.
Tidal. So it would make sense for Jack to ask that as a favor. I don't know. I've never used a service. I know that they tried their differentiating factor is that their audio files have higher quality than competition. Yeah. Is that actually true? Have you experienced it?
Yeah, I mean it's negligible. Like I think most people can't hear the difference.
Audio files they wouldn't do. They probably would enjoy it.
Right. The people who enjoy wafting their own flatulence would enjoy that. In addition, I think Tidal has a different revenue model where they pay artists more, which is good.
Which is good, but that's not what brings you customers. Fortunately, like people want to do what can you do for them, not what they can do for you. That's the business model in the capitalist world. Yeah, so other than that, we have a few changes, a few cold weather improvement. You can now enable front defrost and maintain your climate setting for clearing ice and snow on the car. You can do that from the mobile app. The chime, the traffic aware cruise control chime, has been added. So if you remember, that was a big deal a few months ago when Tesla did that in China. They called it a recall. Like all the media went crazy. It's like Tesla is recalling all their cars in China. Every single cars that were delivered in China is being recalled over an autopilot issue. The autopilot issue is that some people were engaging or disengaging traffic aware cruise control and they didn't know it because they were dumb. I'm sorry, but it's pretty much that. Like it's not like the traffic aware. It's a feature of autopilot, but it is cruise control, people, and not. There's plenty of other cars with cruise control that there's no chime coming in telling you that you have cruise control on. So of course it's the same stall as but anyway, like now if you press once to get the, because you press twice you get traffic aware cruise control and auto steer. If you press one, you didn't get a chime, but you get your cruise control. It would appear on the screen. You would see it, like it locks in at a certain speed, and you can increase or decrease that speed like any other cruise control. But now there's a little ping that lets you know you're on traffic aware cruise control, and if you do a double tap, you get a ping ping, and you get auto steer. So that was introduced in China as this big recall thing, and now it's being introduced to other markets, including North America. Just because, I mean, to be fair, yes, it is an improvement, but I think you can also disable it. So, like, if you don't want the ping, you can go disable it. I don't know if it's enabled by default after you do that update. It's something to check out, maybe. And then a few other updates. The Model S and X with the refresh, they get the tutorials inside the car, and you also have a British English for our British listener. You can now change the language inside the car to British English for the few differences in the language in terms of. I mean, this is not this is just like your settings and things like that. So it's not really a big deal. Is there a Canadian English? We just got French Canadian recently, so.
Yeah, I mean,
We were French period actually. Like French wasn't even an option in Canada for a while, for the longest time, really.
is it French Canadian or just French in
No,
Canada?
to be honest, I'm not a good French Canadian. I have my car set in English. I don't even know.
Oh my God, Fred.
I mean, I'm always talking about Tesla in English. If I switch to French, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Um, Not that I don't speak about Tesla in French either. I cannot shut up about it. All right. Last piece of Tesla news this week was about a new financial leasing option that Tesla launched in China. So that's an interesting move here. It's different from the normal leasing option that Tesla has in other market. It's much more flexible, much more customizable. Uh, First of all, the biggest deal, you can have zero down payment, and you can change the period of time from 12 months to 60 months. So it's like a mix of a loan and leasing, because you always have the option to buy the car at the end. So about 4% of annualized rates of interest. So Tesla launched that earlier this week, and according to local media report in China, which again take with a grain of salt, there was a wild response to it, and they got a ton of orders, and they decided to remove the zero down payment option, and now they have the 10% only. So apparently that was too successful for their own good, and they decided to remove the 10%. That's what they said. I mean, I don't see a lot of logic in that. Like, if it was successful, why not keep it? I mean, they don't want too much of a backlog of order,
Yeah, I
I
guess
guess.
they need a certain percentage of. I mean, zero down. Uh, there's for the first month they're not getting any money. I guess, right? So they need a certain percentage of people to pay for their Teslas up front.
Yeah, unless it was literally like everyone was going 0% down. But if you go 0% down, you're gonna pay more interest though. Like that was clear on it. Like the interest will change depending on the down payment. So, but yeah, they framed it in China as being accessible to like more younger people that don't have them. Like there's a lot of like nouveau riche in China where they're starting to get some good salaries, but they still don't have the funds to finance a car. So this option is more attractive to them apparently.
Hmm.
Of course, you should never buy a car that you cannot afford. Keep that in mind. Wouldn't recommend that. All right, let's talk a bit about Volkswagen, because this story has been evolving in the last few days, and I found it. I'm dumbfounded. Dumbfounded, is that the word? Yeah,
Yep.
dumbfounded by it. Herbert Diaz, which a guy we appreciate here at Electrek, and
Yep.
we described him before as likely the leader of a legacy automaker that is the most convinced about the need to electrify as fast as possible, coming from a major automaker speaking. So Herbert has had some issue with pushing hard for electric vehicle internally. He's had some pushbacks over the years. We've discussed that before, but it seemed to be behind him as of late. Just last year, he got an extension of his contract up to 2025. It seems that he has strong support now, but we reported last week or 2 weeks ago he made some comments about. Well, he made a lot of comments about Tesla. He's like a big fan of Tesla, and it seems not to sit right with everyone at the company. Uh,
which is fair. It is kind of weird having a competitor CEO on your,
yeah,
you
on
know,
the management call and all that
right.
stuff. Yeah, sure. Um, but then he also said and it sounds like that was the problem here. That if they don't transition to electric vehicle as fast enough, they might lose up to 30,000 jobs. And the worker console, because the way the German automakers work, sorry, they have unions like a nationwide union like IG Metal, which is the biggest one I think for the automakers. But they also have worker consoles, which is kind of a company specific union that represent the workers there. And they have a lot of sway within the company. They have like a representative on the board. They have it's a cool setup, honestly. Like for I'm not the biggest fan of the union in the US, like UAW and everything, but this is a model of a union that I think would make a lot of sense. Like having having just a company, someone that represent the workers of the company and that can sit on the board, and you alternate them and everything. That's a smart thing, I think. But yeah, they have a lot of power with German automakers, and apparently they called for a vote of non-confidence that is being reviewed by the board committee right now for Herbert because of his comments regarding like I guess they saw it as a threat almost, but my understanding wasn't a threat. He was stating a fact. Is like if we're too slow to go electric, we're gonna get passed over by competitors like Tesla, and we're gonna lose jobs. It
But
just
yeah,
makes
it's just facts.
makes sense. Like, but they didn't like it, and now Herbert is in like damage control mode. Like he was supposed to come to the U.S. this week, and he canceled the trip, and now he's like just telling everyone, "Hey, like this is what's happening." Like I'm not, and he did a whole speech in front of employees yesterday. We obtained part of the speech here that I thought was interesting. Oh, what happened there? Okay. Um, he directly addressed the issue that people have with him talking about Tesla. He said, I don't know, was it at the end? Like, even if I stop talking about Elon Musk, he's here to stay, revolutionizing our industry and quickly becoming more competitive. And he repeated that a few times in his speech. Like, even if I stop talking about him, if that's what's hurting you, uh, it's not gonna make him go away if I stop
Right.
talking, which is a good sign. Like, let's say that let's take it the other way around. When the Germans were coming and invading Europe, if you stop talking about them, they're still coming. Now it's the electric vehicles that are coming, and if you stop them, they're gonna come either way. And here, now the most interesting part I think of his speech is he seems to have some kind of inside knowledge about this planning at Gigafactory Berlin, and he's stating that as one of the main point of why they need to basically like accelerate their effort of producing electric vehicles, because they say that Tesla is going to be particularly efficient in producing electric vehicle in Brandenburg, Gigafactory Berlin. He says that Tesla wants to build 500,000 cars with 7,000 people, direct and indirect, with an impressive productivity expected 90 units per hour in one line, 10 hours of production per car. Then he compared that to what Volkswagen is achieving in Zyko, one of their main plants, the one that they are converting to only producing an electric car. It's where they're producing the ID3, ID4 right now, and a bunch of other ID vehicles going to produce there. They say that right now they're producing one at over 30 hours, so it's more than three times that. And their goal is to go down to 20 hours next year. And he said that what they were expecting was 16 hours, and now they had to readjust their goal to 20 hours. So Tesla is aiming for much higher efficiency of production than VW. And I don't know how many people work at Zyco, but I think it's much more than 7,000. I think it's in the tens of thousands. It's a
Yeah,
giant
it's
factory.
huge.
So yeah, I mean, this is if I was Elon, I'd be doing a victory lap right now, because this is basically what Elon has been saying for the last few years. Where, like, what's going to be Tesla's differentiating advantage over other automakers? He's been saying manufacturing is going to be Tesla's main advantage, and the rest of the industry, apparently, except from Herbert Diaz, was laughing at him. It's like, you guys have poor qualities. You guys produce a fraction of the number of cars we produce. How is your manufacturing going to be better than us? Now, slowly but surely, Elon has been proving them wrong, because now Tesla is producing vehicles at a rate of 1 million cars per year, uh, which is good by any standard in the auto industry. Like, it's more than a lot of like big significant name in the industry, not more than like BMW, Volkswagen, Toyota, and all those names, but more than others too. But then if you look at all electric vehicles, no one is producing at that kind of rate. So, and Zyco is an all electric vehicle factory now. So this is what they are comparing it to. So DS is looking at it the right way now. He's forgetting about the gas cars. Like, it doesn't matter gas cars anymore. It's thing
Yeah,
of the past. We produce them right now.
stranded
Still,
assets.
they're stranded asset. They won't matter in a few years. So he's not denying that they're still producing them. It's still part of the business. It's still a majority of their business, but he's looking into the future here, and the future is Zyco. So how do we get Zyco to be a super efficient, high margin plant producing electric cars? And then he's like, it's not there yet. And then we look at what Tesla is doing. Of course, to be fair, he's talking about Brandenburg, which is not in operation yet. So it's not like he's just comparing into the future here. But it's not, I mean, after what Tesla did in Shanghai, after what Tesla did in Fremont, they have some credibility in achieving that in Berlin. So I don't know. It's I thought this whole situation is fascinating to me, because it bodes well, I think, for Volkswagen when I see that. Like, I see that they are in the right thinking.
Right.
Other than, of course, the worker console being like defensive about it, but what I've been hearing today, because that happened yesterday, is that the Porsche people, the Porsche family, the two families, like that own,
Right.
they are majority shareholder of Volkswagen. I know Volkswagen owns Porsche as a Porsche the brand, but the Volkswagen Group, which owns VW, Audi, Porsche,
It is such a mess.
yeah, is controlled by the Porsche family holdings, and apparently they back DS 100%. So as long as he has the support from these guys, or these gals, everyone in that family, they're fine apparently. So he's fine. So it's looking good. So it's a little friction with the workers, but I guess you should be able to win them over and move on with it. Yeah, I see someone already commenting about that. I've heard that all week about it. Like, the Tesla should grab him. Like, if the Volkswagen doesn't want him, they should hire Tesla. For sure. Like, I mean, I've been saying lately that Elon, it might be a good time for Elon to step down as CEO of Tesla. Like, everything is going so smooth, and when I say step down, I mean 100%. Whatever disagreement that I have with Elon, I think that he's crucial to the company, and I would hope that he stay on as a product architect and sure. When is he? When can he go back to be chairman of the board? Should be pretty soon, right?
Yeah, I feel like it was 2 years from the
2 years. I thought it was maybe like 4 years.
uh
But whenever he's able to come back, whenever the SEC let him be back and chairman of the board, I think he should grab that position so he has a strong control over the company with his shares. Stay product architect to push new products. But I would love to see someone like Diaz take over the day-to-day role of CEO. I don't think it's gonna happen though. And if I look at it big picture, I think for electrification, it's probably better to have him stay at Volkswagen, because it's a giant company that has a lot of influence. If they go all electric fast, it's going to be better for
I mean,
electrification. I think.
look what happened to BMW when he left. He he was
Yeah.
there when the i3
Mm,
was like kind
mm.
of pioneer, and then nothing basically happened for a decade.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, yeah, yeah. The timing wasn't great either. Like, if it was now, if the DS was to leave now, I think, I think the stock will crash,
Yeah.
and then they would have to like do Dieselgate, damage control all over again, and like double down on EV. So that might be even better. But I don't know. Like, it's a big bet, big risk move. Um, all right, finally this week with Volkswagen, they had an EV announcement this week. They unveiled the ID.5, which is a brand new electric vehicle in their lineup. But to be honest, it was kind of a flop, like not big news, because it's an ID.4 with a little coupe back here, a little sharper look in the back, and they just put a 5 instead of a 4 in front of the name. The vehicles are basically the same, a little bit less headroom in the back seat, more cargo apparently. Which I don't know how they did that, but
Hmm.
a tiny bit more cargo space. Tiny bit though. The dimensions, like if you look at the dimension, it's like half an inch there. Like it's the same car,
It's weird
basically.
because obviously Audi does that same thing with the
Mm.
and then also
They call it a sports back. They have the
right.
Audi e-tron and the Audi e-tron sports back, the Audi Q4 and the Q4 sports back, and everything.
And Volvo did the same thing with the XC40 and the C40. They have the
Yeah.
kind of like SUV and the kind of like
Mm.
sport SUV, whatever. Just a thing that car companies do is easy.
Yeah, it's an European thing, maybe. Like it's a
Yeah.
I mean, as you could argue that the Model 3 and the Model Y are very similar, like, yeah, but there's differences. It's
There's a much bigger difference there.
yeah. All right, so we jump into the comments already an
All
hour
right.
in.
Here we go. All right. Mark Nevar. Thoughts on Kia's commercials claiming their hybrids are EVs? Seems like they are intentionally misleading people.
I haven't seen that.
I hadn't either.
Sounds like the Toyota, or hybrid charge themselves
Yeah.
type of nonsense. It
Playbook.
sounds like that. I would take a look though. Mark, thanks for
I
bringing
mean,
that
if
up.
it's a plug-in hybrid and it has good range, which is like 20 miles or more, I'm okay calling it an EV, or
Hmm.
PHEV is the preferred nomenclature. So, but we'll have to check that out. Question: do you guys have any thoughts on the Prius plug-in? Speaking of plugins,
Hmm.
I'm looking at getting into my first hybrid and wondering what the best option would be. Price on a used Prius is very competitive here. So, Miles Davis, it is your lucky day. I used to own a Prius plug-in. It's not the Prius Prime, which came afterwards, but the Prius plug-in was actually my first electric vehicle. I bought it in 2012, 2000, around 2012. Um, so it's a okay way of getting a couple electric vehicle miles. I think I would get like 12. Um, but you really need to have gas in your car, and the way Toyota makes it, you can't use electricity exclusively. I mean, you can go on electricity for long periods of time, but even like coming down hills, sometimes the motor would kick on. If you need any sort of heat, or even like air conditioning or whatever, the motor would come on. So it's not a great EV, especially nowadays. A better EV, used would be kind of like a Chevy Volt. You get a lot more miles, 40 to 50 miles. So I don't know if that's what you're thinking about. All right. Jonathan Root, do you think Elon Musk is scapegoating the UN to avoid the $6 billion to starving people? Or maybe the Pope is involved.
The Pope. I don't know if scapegoating is the right word. I mean, Elon is not responsible for starving people. I don't think. Like, is the UN responsible? I don't think UN is responsible too. I think they do more. Could Elon do more? Probably yes, on both sides. What are you referencing to? Like, he's basically saying like it's the way he challenged. everyone was wrong basically in the situation, in my opinion. Like whoever brought this idea of like, oh, the UN, if Elon was to give 2% to the UN's World Food Bank, he would solve world hunger. Like it's not as simple as that, I think. So like it's more of a clickbait kind of headline to do thing. Um, and then Elon was also wrong to like dingle the fact that, oh, we'll give you $6 billion right now if you just explain on Twitter within this thread how you're gonna solve world hunger. uh like that's a weird thing about him, like living on Twitter when it comes to like feedback, because because he was responding to to a tweet that had a link to an article, and if you just click on the link to the article, they would actually explain their plan on how to spend that 6 billion. So he just wanted them to like transfer that into a Twitter thread for him to not leave Twitter for some reason. It's a weird scenario, but I think both of them have points. Like, could billionaires give more money to charity? Yes. Could because those charity use money more efficiently in order to solve those problems? Definitely yes. So I don't know. Uh, it, it's a mess. But scapegoating the UN, I don't know that's the case.
All right. Oh, nice. People hit the thumbs up button. Help out the live stream. There you go. All right.
Doing our job
Elon.
for you, and we're supposed to want the one saying that.
Yeah. Thanks,
If you
DRK.
click the like button right now, it's free. Do it.
Democratic Republic of Korea. All right. Eli Duchamp says, have you guys tried Archimoto? Why, yes. Do you think their model is viable? The FUV, it's the fun utility
Yeah.
vehicle.
I've tried it. We've tried it. Have you tried it when we went to Las Vegas like a
Yep.
few years back? Yeah, we both drove it there, but I mean that was a long time ago. Micah more recently drove their open top version.
Yeah.
You can check out the video. It's on this channel. Uh, he gave it a good review. He liked it a lot. It's a bit expensive. It's not cheap. I think that's their main issue. I know they're going strong to go after like delivery markets, and I think that's smart. I think that's smart to go after because if your job is to go around and deliver it for like Uber Eats and things like that, if you're in a market, of course, where it makes sense, because I wouldn't do it in the winter in the Northeast. Like that's not gonna be fun. But if you're in California, you can do it all year, and your goal is to be as efficient as possible. You're gonna and these vehicles are super efficient, so and fun, like said they were called fun vehicles. uh so yeah, I mean they're big enough to carry like Uber Eats order or whatever, like Postmates and whatnot. And um and it's gonna cost a lot less electricity to get there. So they're really efficient on that front. What is going to help them a lot, I think, is if they can finally pass this. Do we have any update on that? Like, I think it's supposed to vote today, right?
Yeah, I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were
Uh,
talking before the show about it a
yeah,
little bit.
they did upgrade with the latest version of the bill, the tax credit for 2 wheels and 3 wheels electric vehicles, which Arcimoto would fit in. It's now $7,500. 7,500 that you would get on one of those vehicles. So that's starting to make the price more attractive. And I think they are aiming to bring the price down to like 12, 13, 15,000. Around that price, it's starting to make sense.
Yeah, so half price.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, and the other thing about Archimoto is like I don't think they plan to be like Volkswagen and sell like
Yeah.
a billion cars. They just want to kind of carve out a niche of fun delivery, whatever. So
To full disclosure, I used well, I still own a little bit, I think, of Arcimoto, not a lot. I used to own a lot of share of Arcimoto, but I sold them at the around the peak of like well, I don't remember exactly how much, but
all right, Elon to be the world's first trillionaire. All right,
most likely, yeah.
at this point, I would say he's got the best chance. All right, let me go to Caps. Robert Pack might have missed it, but have you guys weighed in on the tax credit? That's good timing. In the Build Back Better plug-in hybrids. If Union Made would get a $9,000 credit more than any Tesla. Horrible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I skimmed over it. I know they changed a little bit the restriction in terms of the battery pack. it has to have a certain battery pack size, but yeah, it's too small. I agree. It's not. I mean, I think Robert here was saying that he's not a fan of it. I'm also not a fan of the plug-in hybrid. But to be honest, I think it won't matter. I think the market has already made a decision on plug-in hybrids versus all electric, and the a few $1,000s difference in the incentive won't make that big of a difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so I'm not 100% against plug-in hybrids. I think what a good model would be is to have, instead of having the gas motor drive the wheels, have kind of like the Rex engine that the BMW
Mm.
i3 toyed with.
Like
So like a
range
little,
extender.
right? So a little small, like a Honda generator, like that big, maybe like a 10-gallon tank or something. And theoretically, you would never use it, but like in your brain, you're like, well, I've got another, 10 gallons of mileage, which, probably get 200 miles. And you could go to a gas station, and just to have that in your brain that you're like, all right, well, I have that in my back pocket, and it wouldn't take up too much space, be like a, 5-gallon drum or something. I feel like that would get a lot more people into EVs.
Yeah, and you can incentivize that pretty easily by just requiring that to get the incentive on your plug-in hybrids, you need to have like at least a 30 kilowatt hour battery pack or something like that.
Right. And they had that in the previous one. I feel like the
No,
Prius.
I need to go back to the bills, but I think it was like 5 kilowatt, ten
Yeah, it was
kilowatt.
something
Yeah,
stupidly small. I
yeah.
think my Prius plug-in that we talked about
Mm,
earlier, I think I got like 2,500 back.
mm.
All right. So yeah. Um, so we have a $5 tip. Thank you, Gary Itano. Regarding BYD, Monroe has stated that the Shanghai LFP Model Ys are using a prismatic packs caged in a 2170 housing. Does that confirm that those are BYD batteries?
Um, no, I don't see how it would.
Maybe he's talking about the 2170 like modules, not the
Yeah,
obviously.
I know what he's saying in terms of what Monroe said, but what we've heard is that those cells, all LFP cells, are coming from CATL, and then there's a rumor that Tesla might buy the blade cells from BYD. Um, but I don't see how the module housing would confirm that, Gary. I might be misunderstanding your question here.
Yeah. Well, thank you though.
Yes, thanks, Gary.
All right, Green Gold. Tesla is selling a record amount of EVs with no tax credits just to make a good EV, and it will sell.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I'm not too worried about this differential, this $4,500 differential between the union and non-union. I think Tesla's going to do well either way. It's not ideal, but
This is a good question. EB1888 says, when will Tesla improve the high-speed compression damping for the Model 3 and Model Y? The ride is too hard. There is still a lot of people who complain about the ride in the. I mean, so I have a Model 3 and a Model Y. I definitely like the Model 3 ride a lot better, but
mm.
there is like on the bumps, it is a little bit rough.
I mean, I have the Model 3 Performance with the bigger wheels, and suspension is a little bit different. It's a little bit more aggressive. So for me, it's pretty stiff all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like it like that. I drive pretty aggressively anyway. Um, no safety driving score for me.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, there's a complaint. I mean, I think the Model 3, Model Y are some of the best vehicles out there, but that is an issue, and sound also an issue. I think the cabin is noisy
Right.
compared to other vehicles. I don't have the dual glasses, the double pane glass, like the newest version of the car, the 2021 version. But even I've heard from even those. My friend has one, and it's pretty good. Um, but I don't. I'm not pretty good. It's a noticeable difference compared to mine, but I wouldn't say good either for a $40,000 car or whatever you paid for it.
Do you know anybody who's bought like the unplugged performance? After there's a few aftermarket suspension you get for Model 3.
Oh, the suspension. Well, yes, but mostly for like racing. Like that.
Right. It's
I
not
don't
gonna.
know. I don't know anyone that use like a smoother one for just comfort.
Okay. So one last thing. Currently, so Robert Pack says currently Build Back Better requires 40 kilowatts for, I'm assuming kilowatt hours
Yeah.
for regular EVs, but only 100 or 10 kilowatt
Okay.
hour minimum for
Yeah,
PHEVs.
that's what I remember. 10. So 10 would actually eliminate some. I think it
Right.
was 5 before. So there's some that have like 7 kilowatt hour pack in there. Like it's extremely small. So that would eliminate some of those, which actually makes sense because I think those that put a less than 10 kilowatt hour pack in their PHEV are basically just doing it to claim that they have an electric car,
Right.
not to actually give you any real electric range out of it. Because the goal of the electric transition is to transition gas mileage to electric mileage, and then hopefully to have that electric mileage be as clean as possible through um, adopting renewable energy throughout the grid and home solar and all that stuff. It's as simple as that. And to do that, you make sure that when you sell a new car, this car can has as much electric mileage as possible. And if you sell a PHEV that has less than 10 kilowatt, to be honest, less than 20, 30 kilowatt hour, you're going to have still a decent amount of those miles getting out of the car are going to be powered by burning gas. That's not what we want. And
Yep.
that's not what the government should incentivize and Build Back Better, like Robert Pack just mentioned. So thank you, Robert, and thank you everyone else for listening to the show this week. If you're still listening right now, you are our hero. We appreciate you for listening to this whole show. If you like the podcast, please give us a thumbs up right now on the stream. You can also write a comment below. The algorithm likes that for some reason. If you're listening on your podcast app, hopefully the audio is better this week. I'm back in the studio, so that will help. And if you do like this show, please give us a 5-star review on your local podcast app. That helps the show a lot. And we appreciate you. We're going to see you same time next week. Have a safe weekend.